This is Dr. Haydarian Hernandez, Universidad de La Laguna, and Dr. Ana Maria Crespo Gomez from the University of Zaragoza. Um, well, imagine now a landscape shrouded in mist where ancient ruins whisper forgotten secrets. And the unfamiliar shadows lurking in colonial mansions evoke an unsettling sense of dread. This is actually the world of the colonial Gothic, a unique subgenre of Gothic fiction that emerged in the 19th century, blending the eerie and the supernatural elements of traditional Gothic literature with the cultural, political, and geographical anxieties of colonial territories. The colonial Gothic does more than just tell ghost stories. It serves as a reflection of the fears and uncertainties that pervaded colonial rule. As Fred Bolton suggests, Gothic literature often mirrors societal tensions and cultural shifts, making it an ideal medium for exploring the anxieties surrounding imperialism, power, and cultural displacement. Within colonial settings, these fears become multifaceted, intertwined with the disorienting effects of unfamiliar landscapes, cultural clashes, and the ever-present uncertainty of maintaining control over the so-called exotic other. Authors like B.M. Crocker and Alice Perrin were instrumental in shaping this genre, drawing upon the lived experiences in British India to craft narratives filled with the supernatural encounters and psychological unease. The stories capture the deep-seated anxieties of British expatriates who found themselves navigating a world that was at once alluring and threatening, a world where the familiar quickly became the uncanny. Sigmund Freud's concept of the uncanny or unheimlich is key to understanding the psychological impacts of colonial Gothic fiction. The uncanny is something that is both familiar and strange, evoking discomfort and dread. In the colonial context, it manifests in eerie confrontations that challenge the colonizer's perceived authority and sense of reality. These unsettling experiences, whether in the form of haunted landscapes, spectral apparitions, or inexplicable phenomena, serve as a powerful metaphor for the broader imperial anxieties of the time. By examining the works of Crocker and Perrin, we uncover how the use of Gothic motifs serves as a more than a mere storytelling. It becomes as a means of criticizing colonial power structures and the psychological dislocation of British settlers. The haunted landscapes and ghostly figures embody the subconscious fears of the empire, fears of losing control or cultural erosion or fear of the unknown, the first is lurking beneath the veneer of colonial dominance. In the following discussion, we will explore how these Gothic elements shape the narrative in Perrin's It's of Suez and Crocker's To Let, analyzing how the supernatural functions as both a literary device and a cultural critique. Through a post-colonial lens, we will uncover the deeper implications of these eerie tales and the enduring relevance in understanding the intersections of literature, empire, and the human psyche. So let us step into the spectral world of the colonial Gothic, where haunted houses are more than mere dwellings, they are symbols of imperial uncertainty, and where ghosts do not just linger in the shadow but whisper at the spoken fears of the empire itself. The physical landscape of colonial India, its dense jungles, sprawling plains, and ancient architecture, becomes more than just a setting in colonial Gothic fiction. It embodies the sublime, a concept defined by Edmund Burke, and as an aesthetic quality that invokes both awe and terror. In Gothic literature, landscape often mirror psychological distress, evoking fear and fascination simultaneously. In the works of B.M. Crocker and Alice Perrin, we see the dual nature of India's landscape: beautiful yet menacing, vast yet claustrophobic, familiar to the British yet deeply alien. Scholars such as Simon Estock have explored the idea of ecophobia, the irrational fear of nature, which plays a key role in these Gothic narratives. The jungles, mountains, and isolated bungalows of India are often depicted as cursed or haunted, reflecting the colonial anxiety surrounding an unfamiliar and untamed world. In Crocus, for example, the Duck Bungalow at Dakar, a British colonial outpost, becomes a site of supernatural terror. The physical isolation of the bungalow heightens the character's vulnerability, reinforcing the fear of the unknown lurking beyond the edges of the empire. But Gothic terror in colonial settings is not only tied to landscapes, it is also deeply embedded in haunted houses and bungalows. These spaces, rather than offering safety and control, become sites of disruption and disorientation. In Crocus to Let presents a bungalow that remains perpetually vacant due to its haunted reputation, symbolizing their unresolved fears of the British colonizers. Similarly, Perrin's The Fakir's Island uses an isolated location to highlight the psychological and cultural displacement of British expatriates. This haunted setting serves as a reminder of colonial histories, places where the past refuses to stay buried. A recurring Gothic theme in these stories is the collapse of rationality in the face of the supernatural. In Crocus Mount's theory, a protagonist who relies on scientific reasoning is forced to confront inexplicable phenomena. His descent into confusion mirrors a broader colonial anxiety, the realization that Western rationality cannot fully comprehend and control the mysteries of the Indian landscape. Timothy Morton, in his work on dark ecology, argues that Gothic literature often reveals the monstrous and uncanny aspects of nature. Colonial Gothic narratives reflect this idea by portraying the Indian environment as resistant to domination, emphasizing the limitations of imperial knowledge and power. Colonial Gothic also explores anxiety surrounding cultural encounters, particularly through supernatural figures and objects. In the following book, The Kid Motgar, Crocker introduces a servant whose spectral presence disrupts the British household, embodying the suppressed fears of rebellion and the unknown. Similarly, Perrin's The Tiger Charm and the Little Brass God use cursed objects as an amulet and an idol to highlight the dangers of cultural appropriation. These objects, dismissed as mere superstition by the British characters, eventually gain supernatural agency, illustrating the colonizers' ambivalence towards indigenous beliefs. Finally, this Gothic story serves as a critique of colonial guilt and historical trauma. Perrin's An Eastern Echo features a protagonist haunted by his past actions in India, with the physical environment acting as a manifestation of his psychological unrest. Haunted landscapes in these narratives often function as sites where history refuses to be erased, reinforcing the idea that colonial transgressions are not easily forgotten. Through haunted spaces and can encounters on eerie landscapes, Crocker and Perrin expose anxieties and contradiction of colonial experience. The works demonstrate how the supernatural serves as both a metaphor and a critique of empire, revealing the deep-seated fears that haunted British rule in India. To conclude, the haunted colonial landscapes in B. M. Crocker and Alice Perrins's work is a multifaceted and richly evocative element that underscores the theme and aesthetic of the colonial genre. Through the use of eerie terrains, haunted dwellings, cultural intersections, and psychological landscapes, these authors create narratives that are deeply embedded in the colonial context while exploring universal Gothic themes of fear, otherness, and the supernatural. The stories reflect the complexities and anxieties of the colonial experience, using the haunted landscape as a powerful metaphor for the cultural and psychological dislocations of the empire. Situating the tales within the mysterious and often hostile environments of British India, Crocker and Perrin not only entertain, but also offer a critical lens through which to examine the dark undercurrents of colonial history and the human experience. Using post-colonial theory, this article demonstrates how Gothic fiction critiques the colonial enterprise, shedding light on the complexities of the colonial experience. Ultimately, Crocker and Perrin's work show that the Gothic genre, with its focus on the supernatural and the unknown, It's a powerful tool for exploring and understanding the darker aspects of human history and culture. Thank you very much.